Measuring for feet is all upon you on your forging skills and how much you move metal. And so the measurement changes for everybody, whether you use circumference or whether you use width and length. So I like to use width and length, and I'm going to bump the toes on the 3/4 fullered shoes. So whether I would bump them, if they're fullered, I'm going to bump them. If they're plain stamped, I'm not. But because I'm bumping them, I'm losing a 1/2 inch in the bump. So if I was to plain stamp the shoe, I would cut the same amount of steel. But because I'm fullering these, I'm going to stretch them back out. Does that make sense? So I got a 1/2 inch play in fullering. So okay, so I'm automatically going to hang over 1.5 inches. That's for the bend of the toe. It takes more to go around the toe. So, and on the hind feet I do the same thing, but because I know my forging style and how much metal I need to move, it's just a reference point, and I start with that. So then I'm just going to hang it over on the foot. Let's go ahead and start at 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to measure the width, got the width, then I'm going to go the inside toe to outside heel to fit where I want to fit, not where the end of the heel is, but where I want to fit, and then I'll have my measurement. Now that can change, I'm telling you, it will change. It does not work for everybody, but that works what works for me. Widest part of the foot, 1.5 inches. I got just a hair over 6.5. Go to the inside toe. You also take into consideration how much wrap he has in his heels. Got 12.5 inches. I'm going to measure this other one too, make sure that one's. I got a bandsaw over there. I'm going to show you how to come up with a measurement on how much offset you need. Is everybody in agreement that the outside of the foot has more and the inside foot has less? Okay, what you can do is you can draw a line from the center of the frog and find the center of the foot, where you think the center of the foot is. I'll just take the tape measure and put it right on that mark, and I go right to the end of the origin of growth. And I got 7.5 on the outside. I got 7 3/8. So there's an 1/8 inch difference. So I mark it half that distance off. Half of the difference of that would be a 1/16 off. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody got it? Okay, how do I know where to put my toenails? Is basically an educated guess. I'm thinking about the horse's foot. How broad is his foot? If it's a big broad front, I definitely need to move my nails back to about 1.5 inches. If I have just a little bit narrower, pointier foot, I can creep those nails a little bit forward. So like about 1.25 inches, 1 3/8.
How bad is that going to come in?
Right. So I'm allowing for that. That's where I'm thinking, okay, I gotta allow for my bump. So when I bump, that's going to put my toenails closer.
I have a quick.
There's no sense in marking that other one. I want to get this one in the fire. Now I got time for that one to get hot. Because if they're both hot at the same time, that one's just going to cook. Okay, when I quench this off, see where my marks are? I'm not going to quench right to that mark. I'm going to quench to about right there. See what I'm saying? If I quench to here, the coldness of the water is going to creep up into here. So I'm going to stop my quench here. So what I'm going to achieve in this heat, I'm going to bump the toe and make my toe bends. Overlap your hammer blow and lift your hand.
That's what I was asking.
But you can also just hit in one spot and lift your hand and flip it around and do the same thing. Hit in one spot and lift your hand. But that's because the toe is hot and everything else is quenched.
Okay.
But if the whole thing were hot, I don't think you could get away with that. You would have a very squarish toe. If the whole thing was hot, I would come in like that. So at first I'm going to do some light blows and just get the feel of it. And you just have to bump enough pieces to know when is the right time to really start flogging on it. As it starts to cool off, and as you're hitting it, it's not warping as much, and you can feel it in your hammer moving. Through your hammer, through your tongs, you can actually feel the steel moving. That's when you can start really getting after it. Anytime I get any bit of bend, I stop and I straighten it. If you don't, it's only bending. I keep it straight as possible. I'm bumping for width, not thickness. So when I get the amount of bump I want, I'm going to make a big pass right down the center of the section, right here. I'm widening the toe out. That's a little bit tight. I'll just come back and open it up. Now I can come in and seat it out. Now look how wide my toe is compared to the width of my branches. I can make it narrower from here, but I can't make it any wider after this point.
Your toe, when you get to that point, you're done with your toe.
Toe is done.
So you don't, I'm trying to get that down. Set your toe.
I'm putting this heel on and I'm thinking about that heel on the horse. What kind of heel is it going to take to cover that? Well, just judging by the last guy who shot it, he looked like he had a little trouble covering the heel, so I'm going to put like a little bit of a blocky-ish, roundish heel on and not really commit to a check yet. Just a kind of a generic heel. And I'll go fit and then rasp it into place. I didn't mean any disrespect to the guy who shot it. I'm not real crazy trying to get the shape just yet. I'm trying to get it in the ballpark. But once I stick my toe clip on, that's when I got the shape. I am a striker. Fine.
Todd Walker point?
It is. What?
Oh, are they going to be on the market?
They might be.
That's not going to be on there?
I wanted to talk a little bit about hemming. It's a long subject. You have a section, and all you're trying to do is build an angle. That's it. You don't want to flatten it. So when you hammer here, it's going to get a pucker here. So you don't want to flatten the hemming back out. So basically, you're just going to come in and push this edge this way, and it's going to pucker out this way. So then when you drive a fuller in, it's going to blow out and lay back over.
Do you just hem the corner, or are you?
I'm hemming the entire section
entire
from
section,
this line
okay.
all the way to that line.
Okay.
Maybe not all the way, but almost all the way. You don't want to touch my feet neither, huh? My horse's feet that spit on? All right. There's as much hemming as I've done. Section is slightly beveled.